Welcome back to Spells from the Shelf. I'm Ammie.
I'm Paul.
And we have a special guest today.
Whoop, whoop.
Gretchen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I am Gretchen Powell Fox. I'm the author of Smoke and Scar and the upcoming Splintered Kingdom. And I am an indie author who writes fantasy and dystopian. And yeah, I'm just super excited to chat with you guys.
Yes, we're very excited to have you here today.
Welcome to the show.
Yes,
we enjoyed your book.
We did. We have it up on the big screen and we have the physical copy of it. We got all the things. I just want to start by saying, and me and Paulie were talking about this, the hardbacks that you do, like, this is so cool.
Really fun artwork.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I am so just like baffled by the fact that even indie authors nowadays have the ability to do really cool hard cases and stuff like that. And so I wanted to take full advantage of that for sure when I was publishing these books.
It's so fun. And I did pre-order the second one because I wanted to have the pretty hardback with all the art on it. Because you don't get this enough. Because usually it's like...
Yeah, it's usually just a boring piece of paper.
Yeah.
And that entertainment is on the jacket. But who did the artwork? Or
so the cover and on the first book, the hard case, they're the same. It's done by the cover designer as well. So it's Kim at Spirit of Ebullience is my cover designer, and she's amazing. So yeah, she did the art and the hard case art for the first book, and then I have a different artist who did the art on the hard case for the second book.
Oh, okay, very cool. I love it. Yeah, no, it's really unique and interesting.
Thank you.
And I actually did get to read the second book because I was one of the advanced reader copies. Yeah. And that is coming out November 11th.
That is correct. You got it.
Okay. You know what? Because I checked the date like how many times?
November 11th, 2025.
Yeah, I checked it like 3 times.
I tried to be like, 11/11. And it, that feels like it would be easy for me to remember. So
yes.
11/11. And for my international readers too, then I didn't have to worry about them like flipping the dates or whatever. I was like,
oh, that's really smart. Wow.
Because I'm always confusing myself whenever I like talking to a reader who's overseas and they're like, is it out on,
Yeah, they lead with the day first.
Yeah, exactly. 11/3. And I was like, no, like 3/11. That was like the date for the first book. So.
Oh, okay. That's actually really smart then to have it be 11. And also 11/11 is good luck.
Have you found a pretty solid international crowd? Like what specific countries?
Yeah, I feel like I'm so lucky. I have a lot of readers in the UK and Australia. I have German readers and people who reach out from like France and Italy and stuff. And they all, are always asking like, is the book going to be translated? Or like, when are we going to get, copies like easier access over here and stuff like that? And I'm always very honored that they are so interested. So
that's amazing. And and there's always I always see people who go over internationally and look at different covers and books and everything. And they usually end up being like slightly different.
Yeah. So the book actually has been picked up by a few foreign publishers. And so when it is published in foreign markets, like it'll be in Spain and Hungary and Germany, it'll be like a surprise, I guess, to see kind of like what they come up with.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's so interesting. Wow. Yeah. I love that. Let's start out with our first question here.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for Smoke and Scar, and what was the process like overall in writing it?
So I am a very voracious reader myself, and I especially love reading fantasy and romantasy. And I was on this slew of amazing books that I kept reading where, the formulas that I was seeing were kind of similar, which I'm not complaining about because I'll eat up, a powerful 500-year-old shadow daddy coming to rescue the human girl as she enters the Fey lands for the first time. I'll eat that up every time. I love it. But every time I read it too, I just had a little thing in the back of my mind that was like, what would be cool is if it was her that was the Fae. Or what would be cool is if it was him that was like our hapless human or whatever, just like little like variations or flips on kind of what I was reading. And that's really where the concept for this book was born, was just kind of letting that marinate a little bit and being like, I actually think that I would like to write that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. That's like, and it was perfectly executed.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely one of my main goals to try and write a tale that still felt like all of the fantasy and romantasy that we already love to read, but just had like that little bit of like a fresh spin or like an interesting take or whatever the case is. Because, you know, it's kind of like a case of like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But also like, let's serve up something in a new and interesting way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
As you talk about the hapless human and the fae, so we have two main characters that you're writing in the story.
Yes.
Did you find that the dual point of view to be a different process than writing single point of view? And did one character kind of pull harder than the other, or was one more difficult than the other as you were going through the writing process?
Yeah, what a great question. So I always knew that I wanted it to be dual POV because, you know, Cedric and Illyria are both the cornerstones of the story and kind of how they come together and complement each other and the differences that they have to overcome, et cetera. But I did expect actually the book to be heavier with Illyria's point of view. It is in the beginning, right? Because we kind of enter from her perspective, but once he's introduced, the split is pretty much 50-50. And so overall, I would say that I didn't actually expect to be in his head as much, but it was a very natural place for me to be. I related to his character a lot as I was writing it, and I really liked the just the balance, I think, that they provide and being able to kind of rewind a tiny bit when they would flip POVs and like see from his perspective something that we just experienced, you know, from her perspective and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it was difficult necessarily to write from each of their perspectives. They're very different. So it wasn't like a battle for me to try and like get in one of their heads versus the other. But yeah, that part did end up being a little bit different because I did expect it to be more like her POV with like interstitials or whatever more from him. And instead it was a pretty even split.
Yeah, you held the character arc really well as you were writing. Like, I definitely followed both of them and enjoyed their inner conflicts and their inner dialogue.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes, and the banter. I did always like.
Love the banter.
Love the banter.
That's my favorite.
Definitely my favorite too. Oh, and this is a good one. Polly thought of this question, actually. If you could steal one magical item from the world that you created, what would it be and why?
Oh, man, that is a great question. Okay, so I think that if I was just myself as I am, like a human, a magicless human, I would want to steal one of the mana tokens from the world so that I would be able to, like, utilize magic. So yeah, like a part of the world building in here is that like the Arcanians, so the Fae and all the other magical races have natural magical abilities and the humans don't, but they channel mana through these tokens that they wear and then they have access to magic. So I'm like, hey, like if I'm going to just be human Gretchen, like I would like a mana token as well so that I can have like telekinetic powers or whatever. Sure.
Yeah. Telekinetic powers would be actually kind of cool to have.
Pretty handy, I feel like.
Yeah. Very handy. I would probably want that too. And
in the story that they're going into these like magical lands to kind of absorb.
Yes.
Or different places. So how are you gonna? Is that system fleshed out a little bit more about how they kind of pull or extract?
Yeah, you get a lot more of the backstory of the magic system, mana springs. We get introduced to like mana forges and stuff in the second book, and just like kind of an understanding of how humans, you know, utilize magic in their everyday life is really painted in the second book.
Fun!
I was over here like this. I was like, yes.
You're like, only a few more weeks until you can find out.
Yes.
Yeah, Anne-Marie's got the sneak attack on there. She's got the advanced reader copy.
Yeah, it was funny because he asked where the book was, and I was like, it's on here.
You can't see it yet or hold it.
I was like, yeah, it's right here in this neat little package. I love my Kindle.
So as we kind of talk about features in book 2, it's funny, we kind of flip these. This was an Anne-Marie question that I found was very typical jargon, but do you find your writing style to be more of a plotter, pantser, or plantser?
Plantser, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love getting to talk about this. So I am a very hardcore plotter when it comes to my fantasy writing. The very first books that I ever wrote were definitely more pantser. I kind of let the characters determine most of where the story was going. But, you know, I knew that I really wanted to set myself up for success with this book in terms of not creating plot holes for myself, or having to revisit things that didn't maybe make sense as the story was unfolding in terms of, changing things down the line and having to revisit. So I actually did like almost all of my world building before I ever started writing the story for this book. And I created like a whole little wiki for myself that included the history of the world of Arcanis, all of the magical races, the way the magic system worked for the Arcanians and the humans, like the history of the War of the Two Realms and the Arcane Crucible, like all of that stuff. I like really worked very hard on ironing out. And then from that, I ended up being able to do a pretty detailed outline of how I wanted the overall story arc across the whole trilogy to go. But then, of course, a much more detailed one, like for book one as I went in. So naturally, things inevitably end up changing as you write. Right. So I guess, there is still some of that like Plantser element, because you really are doing yourself a disservice, I think, by not rolling with it. If your characters are naturally, you're finding chemistry between two characters, or, some idea sparks that maybe wasn't part of your original plan, but like is really inspiring to you. And so, things change as you actually are in the drafting process. But I am definitely a big fan of plotting and outlining. And I think that it was just like a gift from past me to future me to like have all of that ironed out, I think, early on, and not have to worry about, am I retconning something here? Am I, am I breaking my own rules? That sort of stuff.
No, that makes sense. Yes, because it is. And because I did read the second book already, I see like connections made. Yeah. And what was interesting is I told Paulie I actually had to go back and read Smoke and Scar because I was worried I would spoil something. I was like, I need to refresh my memory on the first, because there
about like what I'm allowed to talk about here.
It's like, okay, don't say this because this happens in book. But it was interesting to see like how things kind of were like these little connector moments. So that makes sense that you plotted it out ahead of time.
Yeah, I think that also it does allow for you to be more intentional about like planting those early seeds or little Easter egg things when you're really thinking about like the series or the trilogy as a whole in that sense. And again, it's not like I have to say that, like you need to have a chapter by chapter outline for all three books before you even start writing the first one or anything like that. But it's more like, just like really know the things that you're going to want to allude to, because it's fun for readers and it's fun for, me as a writer as well, to be able to like weave that through and not have things feel like they came out of total left field.
Yeah, it adds real depth to the story and the characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Adds that richness to it for sure. Ooh, this is a good one. Do you have any favorite themes that you enjoyed writing into Smoke and Scar? And is there anything that you want to explore more in other works?
That's a really great question. So for me, I think that my favorite themes in the first book have a lot to do with like accepting all of yourself, like not being defined by the actions of your past, and not just like the whole concept of like conquering inner darkness, but like embracing the darkest parts of you, and stuff like that. And I think that those are themes that are pretty universal. Like you don't have to just be writing in the fantasy genre in order to kind of build that into a character. And so I feel like maybe that concept is something that I'll always want to explore in my books. Acceptance, both like of self-acceptance, or if there's like a big plot thing that comes out, and like, being able to roll with the punches and like that sort of stuff is definitely really important to me. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect. And of course, it's all the more fun getting to weave in magic and like huge high stakes circumstances and stuff like that surrounding it. But like the core message, I guess, of the books boils down to that for me.
I love the acceptance theme, especially when you or juxtapose kind of Illyria to Evander, right? Like Evander went all the way dark and took that, and that was his acceptance, versus Illyria, who was like, yes, I have some dark thoughts and this is a strong power inside of me, but I also accept it and I know I need to kind of watch it and check it, right? There was a real great juggle there and spiritual growth from the character.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that sort of concept of like, how far do I lean into this power? Like with great power comes great responsibility, right? Like this concept is very universal. And so, making sure that I like touch on that while still, not making it like, I guess, like a very heavy handed, like thing is always my goal with all of the things that I try to bake in to my stories. And, being able to extract that theme and apply it to anything. So like her like self-acceptance of her darkness being like an easy metaphor for someone struggling with identity issues, or, you know, like struggling with anything really. And then for Cedric, really this concept of like growth and being able to, you know, see past the influences, you know, that he grew up with, or, you know, change his mind when presented with new information. Like all of this stuff was very important, like for his character arc. And like for me, like I love seeing a character that actually like grows over the course of a book or a series, right? So that's why I really enjoyed getting to put that into.
Yes, and I thought it was a nice nod because that was something that we enjoyed with Matthias and Nina in the Six of Crows series, where just through conversation with one another, they started changing and shifting their perspective,
their belief systems.
Yes,
right, as they got to know the other. Right?
Yeah, and I kind of liked like that. It was like a nod back to something that I really enjoyed seeing, and I love seeing that in characters. It's very fun to read.
You know, that's really fun to talk about because I love like Shadow and Bone and Six of Crows, and I actually hadn't really made that direct comparison before. I often hear a lot of like comparisons of Cedric to like Chaol from the Throne of Glass series, who also has a pretty narrow worldview initially, and that expands as he meets Selena and you know, gets exposed to more stuff. And but I really like that too, because it's true. I mean, like you never in real life too, right? You never know how a single person is going to impact you and be able to like open your eyes, open kind of the shutters to whatever circumstances you may have been raised in, right? And it just takes like the right person to be able to show you a whole new world, really. So
absolutely.
And the timing to be able to accept that different point of view, right? Like there's so much around being able to enter into a conversation with the idea that maybe your perspective will shift versus just kind of hammering it in as you were talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly.
Which was handled beautifully in like the dialogue between Cedric and Illyria, where it was kind of like they just through conversation.
And zings.
Nice banter.
I mean, she just can't really help it.
She can't.
She got to get a few digs in there.
And I love it.
Personality.
I love her for that.
That was fun.
Yes. Really fun. It was so fun.
All right, so this next one's yours.
Oh, we're going to switch it up here a little bit. I like it. Oh, yes. Okay. So this is going to be a nod back to the beginning where we said we love formulas, but I love having like my love rejuvenated in them. So there are many different Fae storylines out there today, but you did manage to brilliantly rejuvenate my love in a Fae storyline. And did you go into the story wanting to set it apart from the others that are out there?
Thank you, first of all. That's really wonderful to hear that it rejuvenated, because there are a lot of Fae storylines for sure. Yes. And books out there that have Fae in them. I think part of the allure of having Fae be part of this world to me was because there's such a wide breadth of like direction that you can go in, like from kind of like the very like classic, you know, fairy tale style fairies who are, you know, tricksters and have like all of that lore, to the more like high fae elven type things and like everywhere in between. So I really liked the idea that I could kind of like pluck different elements. So Illyria, you know, it was very important to me that the Fae of this world have wings, and like I was just like, you know, the Fae fairy, like I want them to have wings, and like, but also weaving in like different types of like elemental magic and stuff like that. It was intentional for me though, definitely, to include not just Fae as the only like magical race within this world, and so I really wanted that sort of, you know, motley crew, like Lords of the Ringsian, you know, variety of magical folk. So we've got Fae, we've got Sylvans, and we've got dwarves, and we've got Noctarians, which initially started out as like a tiefling-like race.
Yes.
Then I found out that
D&D
tiefling.
Fan.
Yes, of course. And then I found out that tiefling is actually like a copyrighted term by Wizards of the Coast, and I was like, now they are Noctarians. So that sort of thing.
Well, good job. Great shift.
Yeah, thank you. And that was really fun too, because it let me like, again, even just like that mental shift of being like, I have to like come up with their own lore, helps like open the floodgates for like more creative stuff to come in and whatnot. And we learn a lot more about Nox and their people and their history in the future books as well. So
yeah, that was a really cool character. Kind of, you know, how it just kind of goes into a shadow traveler. Like I love that idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So, basically, to answer the actual question, is it was intentional for me to, again, try and balance out like something that we have, beloved stories within this context for a reason, and also like what are some cool, fun things that we can throw in there that will make it feel exciting and new and yeah, hopefully rejuvenating. And that's a great word for it.
It did. It really did. It kind of like it was like a breath of fresh air, and it was like totally on it because I went in blind.
Oh, that's awesome.
I went in completely blind. My friend Amber, shout out to Amber, who I met on Bookstagram. She was like, you have to read the story. And I was like, okay. I love her. I know. She's so sweet.
She's the best.
She is the best. And the second she told me, every time she tells me about a book, I'm like, yep, I'm reading that now. So I went in completely blind and it was great.
Amazing.
Yes.
All right. So next up, so for some of our audience, we have some writers in the audience. What would be your top 3 tips for indie publishing? And do you have any insight into the editing process? How did the editing process go back and forth?
Yeah. So, oh man, I feel like I could wax on about this for like a whole episode just about like writing and craft and indie publishing and everything like that. I'm such a huge fan of indie publishing. I published my very first book independently, self-published it back in 2012. So I feel like I have like a pretty good perspective on like the vast array of tools and like just opportunities that indies have now that like didn't exist over a decade ago, back before there was Ingram Spark, which is like a really big print distributor, which is the company that allows indies to do jacketed hardcover versions of their books and get like allows bookstores to be able to order your book into their stores. Because before, back in the day, it makes me sound like I'm dating myself, but like back in the day, it was just Amazon, really. It was just kind of Kindle Direct Publishing and their print on demand service. And now there's just more options. Mm-hmm. So I would say my biggest tips for someone who is maybe interested in self-publishing is to, first of all, like do the writing, like put the work in. You cannot publish a book either traditionally or independently that has not been written. So, making sure that you are moving forward with getting words on the page. And the coolest thing I think about the avenues that indie publishing provides is that we can literally write the exact story that we want to write, right? Like there is no editor at a publishing house who's breathing down your neck being like, this isn't marketable enough, or, like, I think that this is out of genre or anything like that, right? So you get to craft the exact story that you want to craft. And then, of course, the flip side is that all of the responsibility of like polishing that up and making it into story that you would be proud to publish and have other people read is kind of on you. So finding trusted people that you can utilize as beta readers, editors, etc. I mean, people talk a lot about the cost of indie publishing. And of course, if you are paying for every level of the process, it does get very expensive for, professional developmental editing and copy editing and such. But there are also a lot of alternatives and avenues to explore. I actually found a lot of luck finding beta readers who are willing to, give me really insightful feedback on Facebook. There's like Facebook fantasy writer critique groups that you can join and you can find people. And usually they'll do it as like a trade. So like you read mine, I read yours type thing. Similarly with editing, like I am a very, very strong proponent that like every book needs an editor. You need to have somebody else's eyes on it, even if just to catch your word echoes or, like help you discern your comma placements and stuff like that. But there's a wide range, right, of like paying a very, very like expensive editor out of pocket, or, finding someone who is either like willing to like discount rates or do trades or, whatever the case is, has editing experience, but is just like a big fan of your work. Like there's a wide range in between. And so, yeah, I think that just being willing to like put in the initial burst of kind of like seeing what's out there, connecting with folks on social media, or like exploring reader group or writer groups on Facebook, like all of those things, can really just help yourself be set up for success for the time when you are ready to hit that publish button.
That's really great tips. I was really locked into paying attention because I so want to write.
Wonderful.
So badly.
And did you pay for an editor with Smoke and Scar?
I did, yes.
Okay.
So I had like a really wonderful set of beta readers who gave me really good feedback, and that was, you know, not something that I paid for. But then for the final kind of polish at the end, I really wanted to be very determined to have a professional, you know, do the copy edit.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. Yeah, because there's beta readers, alpha readers.
The terms are kind of
like
squishy.
Yeah. Squishy. That's a good word. Right. It's feedback, right? And you have to be open to feedback.
So there's alpha and beta readers, and people define them differently personally. So like I kind of use them synonymously, honestly, because I don't like have two separate phases. I just have like my trusted people that I send
that makes
first.
Sense. Yeah.
And so like I'm like a little bit of a perfectionist in terms of my prose. And so I don't like sending like a crazy early copy. I like to have it like feel fairly polished. So I've done a few self-editing rounds already by the time I send it to betas. And so even though like it's like a beta copy, but they're alpha readers because they're the very first ones who are reading the book, you know, so it's all like, whatever you call them really, I think doesn't matter that much in the end, just having other eyes on your work, because it's even the most talented writer and storyteller in the world, like no man is an island when it comes to producing art of this length, right? It's just like there's so many words in these books. Ultimately, we need somebody else to have their eyes on them because we're so close to it and we're so in it. And wouldn't you know that, like in my first draft of Smoke and Scar, I referred to Illyria's emerald eyes 37 times, like, you know, like that sort of thing.
It's like, I think we got the point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, oh, I don't know, Gretchen, are her eyes emerald?
That's really funny.
Well, because you take breaks in between, right? So it's like, all right, this is an important character feature, right? Like these magnetic green eyes, right? So I am going to make sure that I drill it home.
Exactly. And like, you kind of forget, like, oh, I did already talk about this many times before. But I guess that's another really good tip is that, especially in indie publishing, once you're published and you're really in it, there's a lot of reader and other author comparison pressure that makes you feel like you need to like write and publish like as quick as possible. And sometimes that is really difficult to build in like breaks for yourself to take a week off or a month off from your work and then revisit it later, because like it is a world shift of when you finish it and if you immediately start rereading it and editing it from the beginning versus if you finish it and you give yourself just like a little bit of a break and then go back. And like the shift in kind of your own eyes for your work and what you're sensitive to or what you'll pick up on is really, really different. So I guess that's another tip, is to not feel. It's really hard not to absorb all that pressure, but to try and make sure that you're giving yourself the space and time to breathe as you're really, approaching your own manuscript, I guess.
Pro tips from Gretchen here, people. Listen up, take the notes.
Yes.
And that leads us into kind of, is there anything you can share, like as you move on to this traditional publisher, is there anything you can share about your next release in the series in Splinter Kingdom?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, the series did get picked up by a traditional publisher, but I'm still indie releasing the second book first. Oh. So the release on 11/11 is still like the indie release version. And I'm so excited for people to read the second book. I'm very, very proud of Smoke and Scar. And of course, I love the story, but it was always like, for me, the first step in this bigger world and being able to really showcase the breadth of the world of Arcanis and the way, the magic system works and the history and the politics between the races and stuff, which you can't get that deep into when you have as strict of a construct as like trials, right? Because like that is like a really nice framework for being able to introduce all of these things. But book 2 really blows it up, I think. So you get to just see so much more. There are new characters that are introduced. There's like the bringing back of characters from the first book that were only in there for like one hot second that I already had loved so much. And so it was really fun to be able to revisit them. And then of course, just me personally, given the way that the types of books that I like to read and the things that matter to me most, I am just very excited for everyone to see the development of Cedric and Illyria's relationship, because it really takes off.
It does. It does.
really ignites.
Yeah, so. Ammie's like, buckle up, people. Buckle up, Paulie, it's coming.
Buckle up. No. And I don't know if you can share, and if you can, it's okay. Yeah. Is it going to be a trilogy, or a word favorite here at Spells is triflation?
Triflation.
Triflation. And what would
We
be the
made it
tipping
up.
point if you went into triflation area? Like if 3 lifts off with the traditional publisher and you get pushed to do a 4th. So triflation, as we defined it, is kind of like we meant it to be a trilogy, like the Onyx Storm Empyrean series, right? It's like it was going to be a trilogy.
What you're saying. Oh, that's really funny. It is a trilogy. I do have some concepts for potential spin-off down the line, which would be in the same world and maybe involve some of the same characters, but like this story arc and Cedric and Illyria, and this is going to be a trilogy, so it will be completed next year.
Oh, we love a trilogy here.
It is to me.
Well, we like a start and an end.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of my favorite books are part of much longer series, but there's something about a trilogy to me that is just perfect. And I think it was just, like when I think back on all of the books that I, herald as my, like, God tier series or whatever, like they're almost all trilogies. So.
Ooh, can I do like a little bonus question? What are your God tier series?
Yeah. So the Daughter of No Worlds, War of Lost Hearts trilogy by Carissa Broadbent is definitely one of my favorite things that I have ever read. Harkening back to my childhood, the His Dark Materials trilogy, so the Golden Compass, Subtle Knife, and the Amber Spyglass, that's a trilogy. The Hunger Games,
yes,
always going to be in heart. And then, of course, like I said, Shadow and Bone is also one of my favorites. So and there's obviously a lot, but I love a trilogy.
Yeah, Shadow and Bone got me back into reading, as I talk about hiatus earlier, but I just found Bardugo, and I pick up books on Vibes, so that's one of my God tier series. But and one more bonus question: Stars Damned in Smoke and Scar, you have the characters use Stars Damned as kind of a signature profanity throughout the book, and I just thought it was really fun. So I wanted to know, like, what was the origin of that?
When I did the world building, I knew that I wanted the, gods in the world to be referred to as celestials. And so I just tried to kind of lean into this like star type phrasing. But I will say that one of the most fun things about writing fantasy in general is literally the like making up of colloquialisms and stuff from within this world. So you've got, Stars Damned or like Stars Above. And then you've got like the 4 hells or like quartered hell, which is like another phrase that they utilize because there's like 4 levels of hell in this world or whatever. And
it was like Dante had 9, but this one's got 4. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it just came to me, and it's really fun. And those little things I think are what helps immersive world building the most, in terms of just like as you're reading, you don't need to like do a lot of explanation within the text, but you utilize terminology like that, and it helps like just elevate that transportation to this second world or whatever. So I'm really glad that you enjoyed that.
Yes.
I did. I totally reinforced that signature colloquialism building, because it did like immerse you in, and it's like, oh, this is really fun. Like
no, it definitely did immerse in. And this was great. And for our audience out there, this is just part 1 of our time with Gretchen. We got part 2 coming up next, which we're going to be talking about literary archetypes.
And their reversals.
Which we did kind of dip our toe into here, but stick around. Be sure to be following along. And we'll be back.
Part 2.
Yay!
Spells from the Shelf. Available on all major platforms.
Yes.
Get on it. Smash that subscribe button.
Yay. Thanks, guys.